Hello, and welcome to the Regina A. Quick Center for the Arts at St. Bonaventure University. I'm Paula Bernstein, the Assistant Director of the Quick Center, and today I'm thrilled to introduce a truly unique artistic experience. Joining us today is Wil Bosbyshell, an artist behind the upcoming interactive exposition Climate Conversations, The Language of Trees, on display at the Quick Center from March 20th through April 5th. Wil's work draws viewers into the reflections on nature, climate, and the shared connections to trees through large-scale drawings, silkscreen monoprints, and his immersive memory tree installation. Wil invites visitors to interact, share, and reflect on their own memories tied to nature. Today, we will explore Wil's journey as an artist, the inspiration behind the exhibit, and how art can foster a conversation about climate, memory, and connection. Wil, welcome, and thank you for being here.
It is great to be here and a part of the Quick Center.
Let's start with the heart of your exposition, Climate Conversations, A Language of Trees. What inspired this body of work and the idea of creating such an immersive and interactive experience?
It started a little bit before the pandemic. I was working on two related series. One is I like to hike, and so I do just some normal sketches while I'm hiking. Mm-hmm. And then I found while I was hiking, I was discovering these very interesting trees that were very unusual, had unusual bark, unusual limbs. Something was very unique about them. And so I thought, I'm going to take an extra special time to study these unique trees in the forest. And then that was the impetus to start to really do these detailed studies of the trees.
And could you just give our listeners some background about where this occurred and a little bit more about your life?
Sure, I'd be glad to, Paula. The trees that I am capturing are mostly in the southeast. They are in North Carolina and South Carolina and North Georgia. And there are a lot of trails and state parks, and I usually hike along trails less famous than the Appalachian Trail, like the Mountain to Sea Trail, or go to state parks. And then I gather the idea to see what the trees are interesting. And then I actually take a piece of paper out into the woods and begin any of these drawings with a simple rubbing of the texture of the bark of the tree. Now that, again, we all did, well, not everyone, but a lot of people did that in kindergarten or in elementary school. So it's a very simple technique, but it's powerful because it gives me marks that are part of the tree and not me making it up. Mm-hmm. So some of those marks are a little abstract, and when I continue finishing the drawing in my studio, I try to keep using the abstract marks the tree rubbing gives me to start out with.
Well, your drawings are certainly stunning in detail, and now we know why. I mean, some of them are over 6 feet tall, and you describe trees as powerful individual beings, not to be regulated to the abstract with their own personal stories to tell. What brought you to this headspace?
I guess what brought me there was a couple things. One, I did one of the first drawings and showed it to just a few people. And the first people that saw these drawings had a core emotional reaction, which I was not ready for. Mm-hmm. And they would, unscripted or unprompted, they launched into, this reminds me of blank. And they talked about, they got married under a tree, they buried their cat under a tree, they swang or read underneath a tree. And so I realized how powerful the trees could be on an individual level with people. And I was surprised by that, but I thought, okay, this is great. This is exactly what I want my art to do. I want people to be impacted and have a reaction to it. And so that caused me, I thought I'll record these memories and I'll do more of the trees. That really prompted me to continue on and turn it into a series.
Mm-hmm. And is this how you came with that thought of the memory tree installation?
Yes, same thing happened. That came a little bit later after I did a few of them, and then I actually my wife is a data scientist and she's a big data fan, and she said, "Why don't we collect all these memories, put them in a database, and then make a poster out of them?" So that was sort of, she came up with the mechanics of it, and actually she has done presentations of the ethnicities of the people who have written down the languages, that type of thing. So it's fascinating.
And is this why you feel like the interaction between the viewer and the art is so important to this exposition with your memory tree?
Yes, yes. I don't want to. I mean, I like my drawings to be, good drawings, but I want them to have. I want them more to be than just a pretty picture that people admire for 30 seconds and then don't think about. I'm trying to have them spend a little bit more time with the drawings and thinking about their own experiences with trees.
And when you are hiking these trails from your home all the way to Alaska, what do you want the people to understand the relationship you have with this process? Because it seems like it's very detailed. Like, you need to get up in the morning and have your pack and make sure you have your paper and your pencil and a backup pencil, and really you have to think it through. So what do you want people to take from that experience?
That's a very good question. I don't know that I thought about that before. It does take some preparation to do the hikes. I guess the way I've used the actual process of the hiking is that I lead several youth organizations with scouting, and I have, sadly for the boys, I know the boys are sad about this, I make them keep a sketchbook on certain hikes, and then. So just the preparation, and they actually are not usually very excited about it at first because it's just another thing to do. But once they get into it, then they realize, oh, I can draw, even if I don't consider myself an artist, but I can draw this and I can do that. And it also, it's a time-honored tradition of naturalists to go out into the woods and collect and draw, even scientists. And so it's something that they just through the action makes them more attuned to, oh, this tree is this, or this is poison ivy, I don't want to touch this, or that type of thing. So I guess I have used it with youth organizations. I do lead some adult hikes also where we sketch and hike.
It's so odd that you mentioned this. This is not in the script, but on Saturday, we're having a Boy Scout event here where they're earning their art merit badge.
Oh.
And how convenient that all of your pieces are up there and they get to come here on Saturday and really see it. So that's absolutely fantastic that has kind of serendipitously fallen into place for us.
A lot of these trees are from, I've gone back later, but saw them on Boy Scout or on scouting hikes. Oh, that's funny.
Yes. How do you want the visitor to understand the idea between this process that you're describing to us and the overall idea of climate?
I guess one of the things that I am trying to activate in people is through the personal memories that you have, each individual has, the core memories that you have, that will cause people to feel an empathy with trees, and then hopefully be a little bit more attuned to the fact that trees can do a lot of things. They can, one, by their taking carbon out of the air, impacting the reduction of carbon on the planet, and then the second side of climate change, which is the temperature. Trees definitely significantly can impact or lower the temperature where there are enough trees planted, in whether it's an urban area or rural area or anywhere. So I'm hoping the trees are sort of a kinder, gentler avenue to start to have people think seriously about the climate.
Mm-hmm. Now, in your life, you've had a very interesting life that I've learned. You've been in the military. I believe you were stationed in Alaska. You've owned a business, and over the last 2 decades, you've been an art professor. With such a diverse background influencing your work, as an artist, how do you approach storytelling through this visual medium?
That's a great question, because this has multi-levels of storytelling going on. So there's the story that I'm trying to capture that the tree portrays. For example, I saw a tree that had a very interesting scratch mark or a texture on it, and I thought it was from a fire. But then when I did the drawing and showed it at a show, a woman came up and she said she was an entomologist, and she said it was not a fire, it was bugs. It was bugs that were eating the tree.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the story that the tree is telling. And then I also, just the art drawings themselves can tell a story, because you can focus on the texture and the beauty of the limb arrangement and that type of thing. So I'm hoping that my art also impacts people, and that they study it and are interested in it, and hope to tell that story too. And then hopefully trying to add to the interest in taking action toward doing something for the climate in a positive way.
And could you give the listener an idea, like what one example that could be?
One example. So I was just, it was a news article I read. So Louisville, Kentucky, recently, they have a part of their park department, I guess. They did a study starting in 2019 where they picked 10 neighborhoods and planted 12 trees per person, let's say, in a neighborhood. And then they picked 10 neighborhoods as a study group, and they didn't plant any trees. And so just from 2019 to 2024, they studied, and they said that the rate of increased health outcomes for the people with the trees planted in their neighborhood and yards was dramatic, like less inflammatory heart disease, less diabetes. So there were so many positive outcomes, and that's a pretty short period of time for a study from 2019 to 2024 in a city, in a basically urban or a suburban area. And just by planting enough trees in an area, that had a pretty significant positive impact on people's health and their mental health and physical health.
So essentially, plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
Plant
feel
a
better.
tree.
You feel sad? Plant a tree. You have a hard time breathing? Plant a tree. India planted 1 billion trees in 2022 with a B. So B for billion. And they said they were going to take 5 years to do it, and they did it like in a year. Now, they haven't done a study on how that's affected things, so trees can have a pretty good impact on things.
You have had exhibits across the country. You have been featured in Watercolor Magazine and a New York Times Review. How does this exhibit compare to the work that you have done in the past?
That's a great question. Most of the work I did in the past for a lot of my career was a different series. It was a cityscapes. It was talking about the impact of man, but through architecture or the lack of architecture. And those exhibits were they were well received, and I had lots of shows, but people were not as drawn into them emotionally. So people liked them. They were great. They were great shows. I mean, I enjoyed doing the paintings and the drawings, but they weren't as quite a visceral interaction. So this is a more emotional show, and then this is a very nice. I have not had that many solo exhibitions, and so this is nice to have another solo exhibition, and it's my first exhibition at a university.
Now, I know that you've been here for a few days. Have you had a chance to explore the university, our walking trail, and have you found a tree to inspire you for your next piece yet?
I haven't found a tree on the university. I did walk the trail, and then I also went to a state park whose name is escaping me right now.
Allegheny State Park?
I think it was. A very big state park. Isn't that pretty close by here? Okay. And that was fascinating. There was a lot of trees in that area, and it's a very nice park. And so I think the whole area is just a very beautiful area, and I didn't realize it was called the Enchanted Mountains. I think that's a great name for mountains. And they're rolling hills. It's a rolling hillside versus Mount Everest type mountains, but still, I mean, it's a beautiful area. I need to come back here and do some actual work on finding some good trees to work on.
That's absolutely fantastic. We hope you do. Finally, you will open the exhibit with a live drawing session. What can our visitors expect, and why is drawing in real time an important part of connecting with your audience?
So I have a plan. I want to talk to the art teacher a little bit in advance, but hopefully this will work. So these drawings um, have two main parts. They are of a tree, so it's a tangible thing. So I think a lot of artists can do just straight abstract stuff. I have to have something tangible to anchor my drawings to. However, the marks of the tree are almost abstract, which I like. I am not trying to be a photorealist artist. So actually, the thing that I'm going to try to get the people that come to the drawing the opening drawing session to explore the textures that we can find in this building and do drawings that incorporate textures. It might not be a tree. It could be like the sofa or the rail, or we could go outside. I'm gonna let them pick their subject matter in the area, but I'm gonna show them how to mine textures from this place and use them in drawings of this place.
That's fantastic. I love that you use the word texture because it made me think about the pieces that you have in the exhibit. Some of them are, and I mean this in the most respectful way, a standard piece that's framed and it looks lovely hung, and then other ones are banners. Is there a reason that you like to present both?
I guess I love the flexibility of the banner, because sometimes I want to go someplace to talk about my art or trees where it's windy or it's raining or I'm only going to be there for an hour. And the banners are so easy to put up, and because of the size, and my drawings are big, but the banners are even bigger, the size just is a great way to impact people, get people's attention.
Have you always worked in a large scale, or do you do minis?
I do minis too. I do small drawings. I started working big, I don't know, about 15 years ago, just because big is fun.
Yeah. Big is fun.
Big is fun.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience today as we wrap up?
Well, I guess I want to thank St. Bonaventure College and the Quick Center and Paula and Brian and Kelly, certainly, for all the help you guys provided in doing the exhibit. And thanks for inviting me to do the show.
Of course.
I think it's been a wonderful exhibition, and I can't wait for it to be up for 3 weeks and do all the classes. And we have all the classes and the drawing session tomorrow. That's going to be exciting.
Fantastic. Wil, thank you so much for sharing your time and passion with us today. Your ability to connect with art, nature, and community is truly inspiring. And I know our visitors will leave climate conversations, seeing trees and their own memories in a whole new way. For everyone listening, Climate Conversations, The Language of Trees, opens at the Regina A. Quick Center on March 20th and runs through April 5th. Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you at the Regina A. Quick Center to see this beautiful exhibit that's on display from March 20th to April 5th, and keep supporting the arts.